this is a quick tutorial on how to create a menu with submenus. So I am going to demonstrate a little bit what we're looking for, so it's kind of easier to see where we're going. So if I click here, I have a menu, and if I click in then the menu will display with other options. So that's a little bit what we're going to do. Okay. So the tools we're going to use are the Smart Animate, the components, and the auto layout. Go and have a look to our previous tutorials when it explains a little bit about this, but this is the tools that we're going to use on this tutorial. So let's get started. So we have the menu, how we want it to look when it's by default, like in the initial state sort of thing. So what I'm going to do first is to take this to another frame so I can create a component, and I'm going to paste it here. Yeah, okay. The first thing that I want to do is to create a component from this element. So make sure to be in the design area. If I click here, I can create it as a component right away. Okay, so I'm going to create as a component, and you can see that there is already an arrow next to the services, and this is just to have some kind of visual indication that this is going to expand a little bit more, and these elements are not. So as you also can see in the layers area, the services is within a frame itself, like it's grouped together. So I'm going to call it services, but it is grouped together, the vector and the services, and the other elements are in a different layer. Also, what I want to do is next is to create the variant, okay? And what I'm going to do, basically the variant with the options. To create another variant, I click here, so, and it will show a little bit like that. So this is the initial state, and this is the second variant where all the items from the services will be showing. So if I want to duplicate this, like create the submenu items, I have to create other text next to the services. So if I copy and paste, right, like a Control C and V or Command C and V, then if you can see, I have to remove and readjust everything. So if I want to avoid that, that's when I find it useful to use auto layout. So that way the height is hawk, which means that the box will adjust to the amount of elements that contains, and the width is pixel, but this is not the size that I'm looking for, so I'm going to adjust it manually in this case. So okay, and I want them to run vertical because I want them to be stuck on the top of each other. So I am going to duplicate support, and if I duplicate support, I mean just to create the sub items for services, then as you can see, this boxes is adjusted. So what I'm going to do is to scroll this, I mean increase the size of the component just to be prepared for all the elements that it's going to contain. So I'm going to call services 1, just to say, but I want a different visual style. I want a different color or a different tone, so I'm going to reduce the size to, let's say, 19 pixels and see how it looks. Okay, I also want to adjust the color to be a little bit gray, so there is some kind of visual difference for these elements. And services 1, services 2, and let's create 3, services 3. Okay, 3, not E. All right, So because I may also want, and it's up to your design, if I want this distance, because obviously is the distance are being determined by the parent frame, which the auto layout, and is displayed here. So it's like 16 pixels, the distance between the element. But I want these ones to be different. If I modify this one, it will modify all of them, and that's not exactly what I want. So I'm going to select these three elements, and the best way to break this grid that is set by the auto layout is by frame it. So I frame it, frame selection, so that way I can have a better control of these elements. And it doesn't, I may like to keep this distance or not, but basically you can control in different ways. If I do this, if I wanted also like a little bit of space after services, so you can have kind of a hierarchy also in terms of the alignment, if it's, that's what I'm looking for. I may also want to add auto layout to this element, so I can add a padding, like an internal margin in here, in this element here. So as this one is for the left, so if I create, let's say for example 20, okay, yeah, that's okay. Well, but you make it look the way you want it. I also want the arrow to change, like, so it indicates that this is being displayed, some kind of a visual element. So okay, so basically adjust this element. This is the default stage, this is the click stage. And after I finish this, what I have to do is link the variants, add interaction in the variants. So I'm going to the prototype, add interactions. And instead of selecting the whole element, what I'm going to do is select services. And that's another reason why I group services, so I can select the whole item. If you want, you can select services, you can add interaction only to that bottom. And on top, I want to happen on top, and change to, and the variant 2, and I want to do a Smart Animate. Right. So that means that will only happen when I take on services, but not in the overall box. So then I'm going to do the same, but the other way around. So I'm going to say service, only to the word services. On top, change to default, Smart Animate. And that should work. You can link each one of these to a different page. That way it should work. So okay, so now I want to see if this actually works. So I'm going to the assets and all libraries. I think it will be in here. Component, drag it on, and yeah. Okay, so I'm going to see if it works with preview, because I already have a format mobile, or I will have to just drag to just have a look into this. Then I click, okay, but it doesn't work if I click here. So okay, then it works. So I want to come here and replace this element with the component that I just created. So what I personally find easier to do is to copy this and paste to replace. Okay, you can also drag the asset here, that's completely fine. I just find it easier to replace the element. And then all I have to do is to link the menu. So I'm going to get here and link the menu on top, and instead of navigate, you say open overlay, and menu items, I want it to be from the top right. Yeah, that's good. Close when clicking outside. If I want a background or not, which means that it's a little bit darker or lighter if there is anything. And then moving, I want it to move in, not instant. This direction, right? Okay. So I am going to select the prototype and I'm going to click preview. And then I'm going to select this, but this is not working. And then I said, yep, good. We haven't done this one before though. But if I click here, it closes. But if I want the X to be linked, then you just select the button and add the interaction itself. So on tap, close overlay. Okay, so let's do it again. Service, close. All right, so that's pretty much it. I hope it helped. I hope it's easier. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.